And in other medical news, so this is a continuation of the last part because I ran too long about my perspectives on medical news. There's a BBC article about a boy with a disease with no name. They didn't give many specifics, they listed a lot of generalizations, and they came up with acronyms like Swan, which is syndrome without a name. They commented how, the parents went through a lot and the parents were very upset because they get blamed for what's going on with their kid. So I guess my question and response is, well, so who should get blamed? The doctors? Oh, see, that's quite simple to blame the doctors because they get blamed for a lot. But it's not quite accurate because the thing is, the doctors don't actually know anything about medicine. They can't figure out things that are unknown. They only take what is known. See, that's researchers. Researchers are the ones who, in the past, were called doctors. They're the ones who actually try to figure things out. Like, you look at the guy who, did first vaccine, right? I think you call him a doctor, but doctors don't do stuff like that. Doctors don't experiment anymore. Doctors just treat. There are doctors who are researchers, but they're researchers. That's why they figure things out. They made another comment about how in these rare diseases, every disease is one of a kind. Oh, really? Actually, every person's disease is one of a kind. It doesn't work exactly the same way. I've already encountered this, and I haven't seen so many rare diseases. I mean, I've seen some we couldn't figure out. Yeah, definitely. Would those be considered, quote, Swan syndromes without a name? But the thing is, every person's disease process is slightly different anyways. You may have the same bacteria, but you may not have the same manifestations of bacteria. And the most common example of that is that when somebody has HIV and AIDS, when their immune system doesn't work, they can have all sorts of diseases, infections, and they have no manifestations many times because they have no immune system. So it's all okay because their body has a significant infection, but it's not dealing with it, so it's not really bothered. It's actually the immune system that's bothered. And so maybe we can lump everything into immune diseases. There's this term sepsis they like to throw out nowadays. People think it's really serious. Well, sepsis is the body's immune response to an infection. Bacteria, I guess, supposedly. And the other thing is, when you say every disease is one of a kind, well, have you heard of atypical diseases? I saw a kid with atypical Stevens-Johnson. Stevens-Johnson is a illness that we learn about in medical school. It involves a lot of your body sloughing off the skin, a rash covering most of it. It's a very serious disease, but it has skin manifestations. And this guy surprisingly had no skin manifestations. How is it Stevens Johnson? Well, it's atypical, the attending said. Atypical? It doesn't even have any skin findings. How could it be Stevens Johnson? He had conjunctivitis, urethritis, pharyngitis, but skin, the stuff we see. But it's funny, anyways, to look at the attitude of this article, saying that, it's awfully hard for the parents, this or that. I don't disagree that it's awfully hard. But is it awfully hard because of the medical professionals helping them, or is it awfully hard in spite of the medical professionals helping them? Because the thing is, and I would presume BBC and a family in the UK knows better, because, in the rural areas, people think doctors are God. And that's why there's so many issues in China, because, I mean, and it makes sense, right? You have this family from the countryside. They're pouring their life savings into their dad or their mom or somebody, right? Their great uncle. $15,000. Surgery. Okay, good. You're going to fix them. Well, and then they come back and they're not actually fixed. They may even die. And that's the thing. Most people understand, at least here in America, that there's no such thing as a money back guarantee in the medical field. I can't guarantee you success. It just doesn't work that way. And the thing is, you would think in the UK, where people have some education, they would realize that. Doctors can't fix everything, and I don't know that even in my patients who don't understand that much, do they think doctors could fix everything? I mean, I guess maybe this week I had somebody who's like, I should be feeling better. It's like, no, you shouldn't. You have pretty significant COPD, and this is your second exacerbation. Well, I mean, last month you were hospitalized for a few days. You went to the ED dispenser, already got steroids, came off of it just not too long ago, came back in, had another exacerbation. Not sure that you should be getting better that quickly. You don't feel good? Well, I think that's actually, I expected that. So I think this idea of doctors fixing it, figuring everything out, I think they try their best. These doctors with this kid with some unknown disease, but they just can't figure it out. And here's the thing, treating things is just going to become more complicated in the future. So first of all, there's people who are alive that would not have been alive 100 years ago. A lot of people are kept alive by modern medicine when they would have died 100 years ago or merely even 50 years ago. So you get people who are sicker, people who live longer. So they have more time for these sort of indolent or slow growing diseases to manifest themselves. And then you have more pollution and badness in the environment, causing more harm to the body. You have people who don't exercise very much, who eat too much, right? The body's not quite as healthy as it was 100 years ago. But it's not due to bacteria or infection. We're much cleaner nowadays. It's due to pollution. They didn't have all these weird chemicals we have nowadays. Everybody didn't ingest plastic. And then it's also due to our lifestyle. In the past, no matter how unhealthy you were, you walked because, you had to get somewhere, you walked. Here you could take a cab, drive your car, use your electric scooter. You don't have to really exercise anymore. I mean, I think we do less exercise nowadays than ever before in the history of the world. Another thing is, we also eat more than we ever did before. Food is so plentiful now, and it's so processed, so unnatural, so unbelievable where it's coming from. And you expect people to do better today? Well, it's true, people do live longer. But I think there's a lot of issues that are not being addressed, and we can't figure out. And we will not be able to figure out because things are getting ever more complicated. I mean, we're not to the point where we're really cyborgs yet, but what happens when we are? Is it the software? Is there a glitch in the program? Is it the hardware? Wait, which hardware are you talking about? The human being or the machine part? I mean, there's so many moving factors nowadays. There's so many unknowns. So many random things. People could try all these things online and they don't tell you about it. And they take all these supplements and herbal things, and who has any idea what it is? I mean, who as in we don't? You know, Western medicine researchers, we don't know what all these things do. We don't know all their effects. And many people have many, many different types of illnesses all combined nowadays. Occam's razor is dead. Used to say the most simple explanation is likely the most correct one. Except for AIDS, when they could have multiple different illnesses. But that's no longer true. The people have multiple different illnesses. There are people with multiple cancers. You may think, oh, there's another spot there. Oh, it must be the same cancer. Well, it may not be anymore. Things just don't make sense. And what do? It's really hard to fix things when you don't know why. And the only way is if you realize how things work. If you understand the body even further, really understand what makes it tick, then I think you'll have a chance.